Another painting week at the Art Academy, and this time I managed to finish 2 work, including my first portrait. Hey there, I'm Katerina. I put my corporate career on hold and started an Art Academy at 30. Every week, I share my artistic journey, the real challenges, breakthroughs, and lessons I learned along the way. Welcome to my channel. It's week 24, and even though the weeks keep repeating themselves in a cycle, I keep learning something new every day past at the Academy. It's so exciting. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, consider subscribing to follow my journey. By subscribing and even leaving a like and a comment, you'd really help to grow this community, which might one day allow me to continue this amazing journey even longer. This week was fully dedicated to painting, specifically adding colors on last week's grisaille. At the Academy, we are now working with glazes, which is a different process from alla prima or entire painting we were using last semester. And if you're not familiar with these terms, we are talking about 2 very different methods. Alla prima painting means applying all the painting while the layers underneath are still wet, so usually the pieces are completed in one single session. The technique became more popular in the 19th century, mostly with impressionists who wanted to capture the fleeting moment of lights and shadows, and it's typically a looser, more spontaneous way of painting that focuses less on details. And in my opinion, painting alla prima requires really solid skills, even if you start with a strong drawing underneath. You need to have strong color mixing abilities, for example, because you need to match every hue in real time for every brush stroke. And that means understanding how planes change value and color. Unless these concepts are really ingrained in your mind, I think it's really difficult to obtain really consistent results. It's a bit like trying to write without learning the grammar first. On the other hand, painting with glazes is a much older technique that was also used in Renaissance. The painter applies thin layers of transparent color and lets each layer dry, and that might take days or even weeks depending on the thickness of the paint. Color builds up gradually in this method, allowing more control, more time for correction, and more focus on details. It also helps creating a sense of depth. For example, studies have shown that Mona Lisa has been painted in 30 or 40 thin transparent layers. Can you believe? Of course, the 2 approaches can be combined, for example, adding a glaze over a dried alla prima painting, or even adding thicker layers of painting towards the latest stage of a painting made with glazes. But the layered method is the one we are using at school right now, since it's a school heavily inspired by Renaissance. Personally, I find it so much more beginner-friendly because of the control it allows you. Each transparent layer refines and improves the one beneath, while still giving you time to rethink things as you go. For example, this week with the standing pose, I really needed to refine the chroma of the body. A transparent glaze of a more saturated color of the dried paint helped me to make this task perfect. The skin tone was much more saturated and I didn't lose the information I had underneath. And before that, at the Academy, the process starts with a very detailed drawing. Then we paint a grisaille, a monochrome underpainting that establishes the structure and the values of the painting. Once it's dry, we start layering colors, and only the final layer involves thicker impasto for highlights. So that's the full process I only completed this week after 3 weeks of work. 1 week for the drawing, 1 week for the grisaille, and 1 week for the color. So yeah, it's much slower, but it allows me to understand the grammar of painting. Does it make sense? As for my personal taste, when I look at the results, I still prefer the alla prima method though, because of its loose edges, bold brush strokes, and thicker impasto paint. What about you? Which one do you prefer, and why do you prefer one of them? I noticed that in contemporary art, alla prima has become much more common to paint. The looseness of the style gives that feeling of spontaneity that hides incredible skill. That apparent effortlessness really speaks to me emotionally. John Singer Sargent, for example, used to work with this method a lot, and he's one of my absolute favorite painters. I'm actually going to Paris at the end of the month to see his exhibition Sargent in Paris, and I'm so looking forward for it. The exhibition showcased 90 works of his, and I'll probably vlog about it. I'm so excited not to. I've already seen some of his paintings the past summer in London, and one that really captured my attention was his portrait of Harry James, the writer. From 10 steps away, it looks so realistic, so lifelike, but as you get closer, the brushstrokes start revealing themselves, and it's incredible. That also shows how often Sargent stepped back away from his paintings to see the painting as a whole. You can see the same approach approaching many of his paintings, and I cannot wait to experience the same magic at Musée d'Orsay very soon. Another exhibition I'm going to see in Paris is gonna be dedicated to Jacques-Louis David, and this time it's gonna be in Louvre. He didn't paint alla prima though, he was actually a master of layering paint, and he's one of my favorites. With more than 100 artworks, including unfinished canvas and unfinished studies, I think it's gonna be super interesting to understand his process. So said this, I'm sure that the layering practice I'm doing now, it's gonna prepare me one day to paint alla prima. It's teaching me the grammar I mentioned earlier, but something else I've noticed is how much my taste is evolving with time. By studying art, visiting museums, for example this week we've been to GAM here in Milan, and also by reading, by discussing with the teachers, I keep discovering new things that spark my curiosity. It's exciting but also a bit confusing as well. One thing I appreciate the most about my academy is how approachable teachers are. We often have deep discussions of different approaches to art. Actually, one thing I loved the most about this week was how much we discussed and debated about this and about the topics I included in my last video. Right now it's really hard for me to define my personal taste because I love a little bit of everything. I love the compositions and lines of the Renaissance master, I love the beautiful realism and storytelling in David's paintings, I love the brushwork of Sargent, and these are just a few examples. So who knows, maybe by evolving my taste in the future I won't even want to paint alla prima anymore. I'm starting to really appreciate glazes actually, and I think that's also because it doesn't frustrate me that much. I'm understanding it and it feels like my comfort zone now, and that's what makes me enjoy it. But I do miss impasto, that thicker, more tactile paint. This week, using the glazing method, I actually finished the two works I was working on, the standing back pose and the portrait. Do you remember when I said I was in the ugly stage with my standing back pose? Well, I kind of moved past that, but the result is still not my favorite. It looks a bit fake, too illustrative maybe. I still struggle with semitones and transitions. That's probably what makes it look unrealistic, and I definitely don't love the outcome. The portrait, on the other hand, is a piece I'm much happier with. It's probably my best academic painting so far. What do you think? The transitions are still a bit stiff, but overall it works so much better. This week I added a second color glaze all over the face, and then I added a reddish glaze on the warmest area. So for example the lips, the nose, the cheeks, the ears, and so on. I also enjoyed softening some edges, so for example around the head or around the shadows. This time I also focused on the background, so I didn't leave it plain, but I slightly copied it from reality, so how I saw it in my picture, the picture I had of the model, and I darkened it on one side, adding slightly more depth I think. Every week I feel like I'm uncovering new pieces of the puzzle, and that's super exciting. Looking back at what I was doing a few weeks ago, I think that the glazing method is helping me a lot to improve. My next challenge is gonna be to make transitions seamless and edges softer, but I think that is gonna be a goal for next year. In fact, next week is gonna be my last week as a full-time student at the academy, but I restart my academic journey in January, probably slightly in a different way, but I'm gonna keep you updated on that. Until then, I have a couple of trips planned to see some incredible art, which obviously I will vlog about. Plus, I'm preparing some interesting content that I hope you will enjoy, so the videos won't stop here. I'll also keep practicing at home, which I think is gonna be really healthy, you know, experimenting and practicing on my own. I'll make sure to share my practice routine on Instagram and probably here too. I've actually made a video a while ago about surviving as a self-taught artist, so I think I will go back and watch that video again for myself. It's gonna be really helpful, so if you're interested, watch it here. And yeah, that's it for this week. Thanks so much for watching until the end of this video. Let me know in the comments if you've ever tried glazing and alla prima and which one you prefer. Obviously, all that I said is my personal opinion, so I would love to know what you think about that. Don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye!